this is most of the audio equipment I found. Let's start with these speakers. These are probably the worst thing I picked out. Hulk, I don't know how to say that, monitors. And I guess they're supposed to be outdoor or portable speakers because they're all made of plastic. Also, when I got up, this tweeter had fallen in, and both of them are different. Hulk Audio Monitor Series 2. But these are some interesting looking speakers. They're very sleek design. They've got a woofer at the bottom, a tweeter here, it's a Mylar tweeter, the fancy name for plastic, power on top, and these sound very good, quite punchy. I mean, they are a sealed enclosure, but they have a lot more bass than you'd expect. It even came with the power adapter. No one cut the cords. Unfortunately, someone did cut the cords on these Creative Gigaworks T20s, and I'm pretty sure that's Kevlar woofer mid-range driver and a Silkadome tweeter. It's got a weird 12 volt AC input, got RCA to left speaker and then audio input. These do work and they do sound really nice, but I wasn't able to test this speaker because someone cut the RCA cable off it. But that should be an easy fix. The hardest part will be finding a power adapter. I'm going to do a whole video on this. But this is a white band scam subwoofer and it sounds really bad. This is what the amplifier looks like, not bad. It's Fleetwood, that's the brand. If you drive it any harder than halfway, it starts to distort any lower and there's a lot of port noise. This is a Jordan amplifier. Apparently they were made by TIAC or something, but this was the Australian brand. The switches feel nice on this, but apparently these weren't the highest of quality. At the back we've got multiple fuses, which is strange. What is weird is it says 2-pin AC outlet sockets have been removed due to Electricity Authority regulations in Australia, but I have an amplifier made after the date of this one that has an output socket on the back. A555P, so I'm pretty sure it's a 50 watt amplifier, but that might be to communicate with a tape. And the last thing is a Onkyo AV receiver at TX SR501, 370 watts. I'm pretty sure it's a 5.1. Speakers A, speakers B. Speakers B is just stereo, but it must use a different amplifier chip or transistors or whatever it uses, because that B works fine, but if you just use the front speakers in A, one of them's crunchy, which makes me want to do a repair on this. Apparently these do go bad over time, and it's got a massive transformer. This weighs a lot. It's a HCPS, high current power supply. And if you're wondering, this is what it looks like. If you're wondering, this is what it looks like on the back. We've got component video input, subwoofer preamp output, we've got tape, CD, digital input, remote control, antenna, that one's a bit bent, another antenna for FM, video inputs with audio, and then surround sound input DVD. So that would be your DVD player you put in there. Then we've got monitor out, so you could pass through this if you wanted to. Front speakers B and front speakers A. So you want, this one's crunchy. Haven't tested these, but they should be fine. And an AC outlet. And before we move away from the audio section, I also got this Class H amplifier that I use to do speaker blowouts. Then I've got these Wharfdale Valdus 400s. The only problem is the tweeters are blown, but I might be able to fix that. Samsung surround sound system, and this was found at the same house. I found that subwoofer. We've got, this is upside down, but it's sleek Samsung design. Let's see, it's a bit dirty, but just an example of the drivers in these. You have a tweeter, a dual voice coil speaker thing, like what you'd find in a TV, and a woofer. Not bad. And a port. I need to clean these are really dirty. And it's 3 ohms because Samsung loves to be different. Okay, here is most of the more computer stuff. Nokia phone 6610i. Now here's this Navman that works, because I had this other Navman, but this is like the bigger brother. You can see same design language, probably from the same year. Now there's this phone. It's a little Samsung Galaxy Pocket. Oh, it has battery still. The GTS 5300. Well, it's a very basic and old phone, so don't expect it to run well. Here's a Toshiba laptop that unfortunately I don't have the charger for, so I don't know if it works or not. There doesn't appear to be anything wrong with it, but it was raining when I got it, but I dried it out, so hopefully it still works. It's got the Intel Centrino chipset, Windows XP era, Toshiba Tecra or something. Tecra A4 system unit. They didn't even call it a laptop, it's a system unit. And I only got this because I was confused about what it is. It's a DVD drive, but it's so heavy, and it's got its own built-in power supply, and it's got USB and audio out. Very strange. And I'll just plug this in. It's plugged in, and time to turn it on. Yeah, it works. It's got a light on the front in this cool blue color. Now this is cool. A Wii. Someone threw out a Wii. No controllers, but it did come with a power supply. I'm not a Nintendo person. It does power up, but I'll probably have a whole video towards it, so I won't show you. Plus there's no way to play it without any controllers. Now there's this pretty sleek looking Dell. 1 gig, so it's got 4 gigabytes of RAM total. Yeah, it's pretty clean inside considering how old it is. It's pretty much everything. I'm not going to test out the TV because I've got a whole video towards that. Also, it looks like on the side my cat pissed on it. Another of these TVs, and if I plug it in, I also turned it into an oscilloscope, but this time on both X and Y axis. There we go, you can see pretty cool patterns if you put it on the screen. For some reason it does things like that, and since it's an auxiliary, I could just connect it to my phone, listen to music. One channel is going into this solid state amplifier that I got last year. The other is going into this, which is connected to that speaker. It's like a audio visualizer. Something weird when you unplug it, the dot on the screen goes to the right, even though the deflection coils aren't being powered, so I'm really not sure how that works. I've got these two CRT monitors. I tried rewiring the VGA port on this one, but it didn't work. Because on both of these, the cable cutter got to it and cut off the VGA, and they're hard to rewire because there's no standard in colored wires in a VGA cord, so you kind of just have to guess. It's darker in this part of the shed, but this is some stuff I'm sorting through. This Yamaha go-kart engine that doesn't have a carburetor. There's the exhaust to it. This mini fridge cooler thing. It's got a bit of board that I found. This is the circuit board to a security monitor that didn't work. Down here is a fridge compressor that was just lying there, which is strange because that's normally the first thing the people who come around in vans collecting copper take. A vintage car charger with a plate rectifier in it, projector that sadly didn't work. Those are the hard drives that I'm gonna turn into wall art. And this is something cool. These are the pieces of glass I found inside that projector. You can see they're all pretty interesting to look at. I think they've got a coating or a layer of colored film on them, which gives you these really weird psychedelic reflection, as well as this one that looks like a waffle. Probably all to split the single light into 3 parts to get a color picture. Some other small things. These set-top boxes, which are useful when you're dealing with old TVs like me. This is the picture tube from that monitor, and you can see it was used for so long that the room has been burned into it. That's a very extreme example of CRT burn-in. Then I've saved the best for last, have to go inside the house. Here's this reed organ in my room. It's in poor condition, but it's really cool. It's a Cornish company, Washington reed organ, and it's a pump. They also call these pump organs because you have to pump it. And as you do, it creates a vacuum inside, which allows air to pass over the reeds. And despite its age, it's pretty in tune. It gets less in tune the higher up you go. And something I really like about this is, if you notice, you can notice it more on some keys. It's got a treble coupler, which allows you to play an octave just with one finger, which I guess makes it sound more grand. And you've also got a bass coupler, and this thing has a very deep sound, and you might be thinking it might sound a bit like an accordion. Well, that's because accordions also use reeds to create their sound. Found this little accordion. It's just a toy accordion. Not really sure what hand you're supposed to play it with, but you've got, and I can't remember the word for it, but depending on which way you pump the bellow on this, there's a different pitch. which means it's pretty much impossible to play lots of melodies on it. There's also this metronome. Sometimes just randomly stops. It stops really easily even after being wound up, and it's not really consistent. It sits on top of what once was a candle holder, because there would be on both of these posts candles, because we're going way back to 1905 or something like that. And that's pretty much it. If you'd like to see more of this in the future, including touching up on some of the things I may have missed out and going in depth on some other things, then consider subscribing to this channel. Liking the video is greatly appreciated, and I'll see you in my next video.